Arya clutched her dress tightly. Rudraksha held her hands firmly in both of his. He lifted their joined hands above his head. Even in this slightly messy state, Arya looked even more alluring. Rudraksha gently fixed her hair. "I feel like doing many things, sweetheart," he murmured, "but I have to leave now, right? We'll do everything later." He wiped her lipstick with a tissue and held her hand before stepping away. Soon, both of them got into the car. As the driver started driving, he raised the partition. Rudraksha pulled Arya onto his lap again and wrapped his arms around her. A grand party hall awaited them. The entire place was decorated with a golden theme. Many couples were strolling around while holding hands. In the center stood a tall pyramid made of wine glasses, while soft music played in the background. Everyone present there was wealthy and influential. In one corner stood Arya and Vihan with their companions. These girls weren't their girlfriends, only temporary partners for the night. They changed girls as easily as people change clothes. However, neither of them ever forced themselves on any woman. Their good looks and wealth were more than enough to attract attention. The girl beside Arya handed him a drink and said, "You're so handsome, babe. Let's have some fun tonight." "Sure, sweetheart," Arya replied as he gently kissed her. Vihan rolled his eyes and muttered, "You pervert, can't you at least wait?" The girl beside him looked confused and said in Hindi that she didn't understand what he meant. "Nothing, baby," Vihan replied. Meanwhile, the girl kissing Arya accidentally spilled wine on his coat. Arya immediately pushed her away. "Get out." "Baby, listen." "I said get out." The girl quickly left. Arya took a tissue and began wiping the stain from his coat while calling his driver to bring another one. Vihan said, "Why hasn't Rudraksha arrived yet? Only he knows his own timings." Just then, the driver arrived with a new coat. Vihan smirked. "By the way, who do you think he'll bring us his partner tonight? Your sister-in-law or someone else?" Arya shook his head. "I doubt he brought Arya here. He's so possessive about her that he won't even let people look at his wife." Both of them quietly sipped their wine. Suddenly, there was a stir near the entrance. Arya glanced toward the gate and nearly choked on his drink. "Vihan, what the hell are you doing?" he said while gesturing behind him. Vihan turned to look, and his eyes widened in shock. A little earlier, Arya had been sitting with Rudraksha in the car. Their car had stopped outside the party hall. Arya nervously rubbed her fingers. She had never attended such a grand event before. Rudraksha held her hand and stepped out with her. The moment she appeared, everyone's eyes seemed to settle on Arya. After all, Arya looked stunning, hot and incredibly attractive. The men standing outside stared at her with desire, which made Arya uneasy. She tightened her grip on Rudraksha. But the fear she felt wasn't really for herself. It was for those men, because Rudraksha's anger toward them was visible in his gaze. He looked around sharply. Just then, a middle-aged man approached them and shook hands with Rudraksha. "Hello, Mr. R.S." Rudraksha shook his hand in return. "Hello, Mr. Vilas." Mr. Vilas glanced Arya up and down before smiling. "Hello, beautiful lady." He extended his hand to her. Arya was about to shake it when she felt Rudraksha's intense gaze on her. She quickly placed her hands behind her back and greeted him from a distance. "Hello." "Excuse me," Rudraksha said, placing his hand firmly around Arya's waist as he guided her forward. Mr. Vilas's hand remained hanging awkwardly in the air. He clearly disliked being ignored like that. Watching Rudraksha and Arya walk away, he signaled something quietly to his assistant before heading inside. As soon as the couple entered the party, all attention shifted toward them. Arya became the center of every man's gaze because of her striking figure, while many women stared at Rudraksha's handsome face. Arya felt a little nervous under all those eyes. Arav and Vahan stared at them in shock. They had never expected Rudraksha to bring Arya to such a public gathering. Several people stepped forward to greet him, but Rudraksha ignored them and continued walking. Arya silently observed everything around her, forming her own opinions about him. Rudraksha leaned close to her ear and whispered softly, "I'm worse than you imagine, sweetheart." Arav and Vahan approached them. Arya recognized them instantly. "Vihan, oh, my love, you're here," he said playfully. Rudraksha shot him a dangerous look. Vahan immediately stepped back. "Oh, sorry, I forgot. Now you only belong beside your sister-in-law, right? I suppose I'm correct. By the way, we haven't been properly introduced. My name is Vahan." Arya ignored his extended hand and simply greeted him. Vahan laughed. "Brother, don't tell me you've even banned sister-in-law from shaking hands with anyone." Rudraksha replied calmly, "And what's wrong with that? I'm her husband. Only I have the right to touch her, no other man." Both Arav and Vahan shook their heads as if saying nothing could change him. Arav introduced himself to Arya as well. She quietly stood there. Rudraksha ordered wine for himself and juice for Arya. Meanwhile, the party host remained busy greeting guests. Rudraksha sat at a table with Arya while Arav and Vahan joined them. His presence carried such a dangerous aura that no one dared come close. Arya watched everything around her with growing surprise. Arya looked around the hall. There were many dancers performing in short outfits. In one corner, a man was surrounded by several girls, while somewhere else, a woman stood among many men, all clinging closely to each other. Arya thought to herself, "What kind of place is this? Have you brought me to a party like this? If parties are like this, I will never come again." Just then, she noticed a glamorous girl walking toward them in high heels, moving like she was on a runway. The girl confidently came over and sat on Rudraksha's shoulder while gracefully moving her hands. Arya watched her and thought to herself whether the girl had a death wish. At that moment, everyone else in the room seemed to be thinking the same thing as Arya. However, the girl clearly didn't know Rudraksh. She had no idea what kind of person he was. Rudraksh looked at her with a cold and dangerous gaze. The girl noticed his expression and instinctively stepped back in fear. But then another thought crossed her mind. If I can get close to RS even once, my life will be set. No matter how dangerous he looked, he was still a powerful and handsome man with a striking presence. Gathering courage, she forced a wide smile onto her face. "Hello, Mr. RS," she said sweetly. "Would you dance with me?" She extended her hand to him. Rudraksha responded with a strange smile. Seeing this, the girl felt delighted, while the others around them watched with surprise. But in the next moment, something happened that everyone had expected except that girl. Rudraksh grabbed her wrist and twisted it violently. A sharp, cracking sound echoed as her wrist snapped. The girl screamed in pain and started shouting at him angrily. Before she could say anything else, a bullet suddenly pierced her chest. She collapsed to the ground like a broken kite. Arya screamed in shock and jumped to her feet, staring at Rudraksha in disbelief. She had never imagined he could do something like this in front of so many people. But everyone else remained calm because they were already familiar with Rudraksha's ruthless nature. The bodyguards quickly dragged the girl's body away and removed it from the party hall. Meanwhile, Rudraksha sat there as if nothing had happened. Arya felt fear rising inside her. Her hands trembled as she picked up a glass of water and tried to drink. When Rudraksha noticed her reaction, he gave a crooked smile. Just then, the party host, Mr. William, approached Rudraksha to greet him. However, his eyes were fixed on Arya. Feeling uncomfortable, Arya moved closer to Rudraksha. "So, what did you think about our deal?" Mr. William asked. "If you liked it, we can move forward." Mr. William smiled. "I liked your proposal very much, RS, and you brought this beautiful lady with you. If you send her to me for one night, then in every upcoming project, you will have us as your partner." Arya was shocked when she heard this. Her grip tightened on Rudraksh's hand. Without showing any emotion, Rudraksh replied, "Okay." Arya, Arav, and Vihan all stared at him in shock. Arya quickly hid behind Rudraksha and clutched his coat. "What are you saying?" she cried. "You can't do this to me. I'm your wife. How can you send me to someone else's bed? Do you even have a heart?" Rudrash looked at her coldly. "Every day you call me a demon and a devil. You label me as heartless and even pray for my death. But now you suddenly remember that I'm your husband?" Arya tightened her hold on his hand, but Rudrash jerked his hand away. Desperate, she looked toward Arav and Vihan for help, but both of them stood there silently, confused. Mr. William smiled and signaled his guards. They grabbed Arya and started dragging her away. "Rudrash!" Arya shouted loudly. Hearing his name spoken with such desperation brought a faint smile to Rudrash's lips. He felt a strange satisfaction hearing her call him like that. Inside the party hall, everyone watched the scene with interest. For them, this was nothing unusual. Many businessmen offered their partners in exchange for deals. However, no one there knew that Arya was not just Rudrash's partner for the party, she was his life partner. Arya had spoken in Hindi, which most people there didn't understand. They only understood English. Vihan finally spoke. "Rudrash, have you lost your mind? What are you doing? This isn't right." Rudrash replied coldly, "My mind is already disturbed, and if you don't want me to kill you, then stay quiet." Before Vihan could argue again, Arav signaled him to stop. He knew that once Rudrash decided something, no one could change it. Still, somewhere deep down, he hoped Rudrash had another plan. "Let it be," Arav said quietly. Meanwhile, Mr. William happily said, "Thank you so much, Mr. RS, for this beautiful gift. Let's consider our deal confirmed." He asked his assistant to bring the documents. The papers were placed before Rudrash for signing. "The deal is finalized," Mr. William said. "All the conditions are written clearly. Did you read them? If anyone breaks the contract after signing, they will have to pay 200 crore rupees to the other party. Since this project is very large, the amount involved is also huge." "I've checked everything," Mr. William continued, "and I have no problem with it. After all, working with RS is beneficial for me as well." Rudrash smiled faintly and shook his hand. Mr. William immediately left to go see Arya. The moment he saw her beauty again, his body grew restless with desire. The guards had already taken Arya to a hotel room and locked the door. Arya lay helplessly on the bed. Arya cursed her fate. Rudrash had wronged her as well, yet he was still her husband. But what Mr. William was about to do with her could only be called rape. "I will never let this happen to me," Arya whispered to herself. "I would rather die, but I won't let even a scratch touch my body." She began looking around the room. Her eyes fell on a glass flower vase. She threw it against the wall, shattering it into pieces. Picking up a sharp shard, she placed it against her wrist and closed her eyes. Just before she could cut her wrist, the door suddenly opened and Mr. William walked in. He quickly snatched the piece of glass from her hand and threw it away. "Why are you in such a hurry to die, baby?" he said with a smirk. "Let me enjoy first. There's no fun in being with a dead body." Arya pushed him away. "Don't touch me! Stay away from me!" "How can I not touch you?" he replied with a laugh. "The moment I saw you, I wanted you. Don't worry, I won't throw you away after using you. I might even make you my wife. You're so beautiful anyway. I won't be satisfied with you just once." Arya covered her ears and screamed, "Shut up! Don't talk to me like that. I don't want to be your mistress or your wife." "I can't help it, baby," Mr. William said as he started forcing himself closer. Arya tried to escape, but he pushed her hard against the wall and she fell to the floor. Mr. William loosened his tie and tossed it aside. Then he removed his coat while staring at her. "Why are you throwing tantrums, baby? I want to taste those delicious lips and feel your body." Arya couldn't tolerate his filthy words anymore. When he tried to grab her again, she struggled and pushed him away, but he held her tightly and twisted her arm. Arya screamed in pain. Mr. William started laughing loudly, but his laughter suddenly turned into a painful scream. With her free hand, Arya had grabbed a piece of glass lying on the ground and stabbed it into his neck. Mr. William collapsed. Blood poured from his neck and spread across the floor. Arya's heart nearly stopped when she realized what had happened. Her face turned pale as she stared at the lifeless body in front of her. She couldn't believe it. She had taken someone's life again. She threw the glass shard away and buried her face in her knees. "I didn't kill anyone. I didn't," she murmured again and again. In her mind, she kept hearing screams echoing around her ears. It felt as if she was losing her sanity. Just then, the door slowly opened and Rudraksha walked in. When he saw Arya's condition and Mr. Williams' dead body lying nearby, a wide smile spread across his face. "Well done, sweetheart." Hearing his voice, Arya lifted her head and looked at him. The moment she saw Rudraksha, she ran toward him and hugged him tightly, bursting into tears. Rudraksha gently ran his hand through her long hair. "You did a good job, sweetheart," he said calmly. But Arya suddenly pushed him back and slapped him hard across the face. For a moment, Rudraksha had been smiling, but now his eyes turned red with anger. He grabbed her throat and slammed her against the wall. "How dare you raise your hand on me?" he growled. "You've invited death by making that mistake. It seems you've forgotten your fear of me." His grip on her neck tightened so much that Arya could barely breathe. Her face turned red and tears filled her eyes. With hatred in her voice, she said, "It's better to die than live with someone like you. You don't even deserve to be called a man. A man doesn't send his wife to another man's bed." Rudraksha stared at her silently for a few moments. Then he slowly removed his hand from her neck. Arya collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. Rudraksha sat beside her and lifted her chin. "You just reminded me that I shouldn't kill you," he said softly. "I want to torture you instead, sweetheart. I don't want you to be free so easily. You entered my life on your own, but you will only leave when you leave this world." He leaned closer and kissed her lips. "Sweetheart, you look so captivating and hot that I can't control myself," he murmured. Arya tried to push him away, but Rudraksha was far stronger than her. Exhausted and defeated, she eventually stopped resisting. Rudraksha sat on the floor while Arya remained in his lap. Her dress was torn slightly on one side up to her thigh, revealing her fair legs. Rudraksha's hand slowly moved along her leg, while his other hand tangled in her hair. He leaned back, pulling Arya down with him onto the floor. He kissed her lips intensely. When Arya struggled to breathe, he bit her lips slightly before pulling back. His passionate kiss had drawn a thin line of blood from the corner of her lips. Then he leaned forward again and kissed her softly. It felt as if he was tasting blood. Arya didn't understand why. Because of everything he was doing, her body had already become sore and exhausted. Still, she began reacting to his touch. Her fingers tangled in Rudraksha's hair and pulled at it, and feeling this made Rudraksha's movements grow even intense. Rudraksha stared at her face like a man possessed. He kept kissing and biting her lips, then moved to her cheeks, sucking and nibbling at them. Arya's deep breaths began to fill the room, which only encouraged him further. At that moment, she even forgot that a dead body was lying a short distance away in the same room. Rudraksha buried his face against her, hiding it in her hair. Then he pressed his lips against her ear. Arya clutched his shirt tightly as he bit down on her neck. The sudden pain made Arya cry out. She tried to push him away, but Rudraksha grabbed her hand and pinned it above her head. His other hand moved over her cleavage. The pain Arya felt slowly started turning into a strange pleasure. One of Rudraksha's hands held her lower body firmly. Arya closed her eyes. "Moan my name, sweetheart," Rudraksha whispered in her ear. In the next moment, her voice echoed loudly throughout the room. Rudraksha pulled one sleeve of her dress down and began kissing her collarbone. At the same time, he started removing his own clothes. He unbuttoned his shirt and tossed it aside, loosening his belt as well. Not far from them, Mr. Williams' body still lay on the floor, blood spreading from the wound on his neck. Suddenly, Arya felt a sharp pain. It was like waking from a drunken sleep. Her eyes immediately fell upon Mr. William's lifeless body, and she screamed loudly and pushed Rudraksha away while quickly adjusting her dress. Until a moment ago, she had forgotten the terrible incident that had happened, but now fear returned, making her tremble. She remembered clearly that it was her own hand that had cut Mr. William's neck. Even though she had done it to protect her honor, she had still taken someone's life. She had become a murderer, and Rudraksha had made her do this. He hadn't even forced her. What should she do now? Should she surrender to the police? Yes, that would probably be right. She should accept punishment for what she had done. While these thoughts ran through her mind, Rudraksha bit her neck again and turned her face toward him. There's no need to pay attention to that. Just focus on me, sweetheart. Arya stared at him in disbelief. She wondered what kind of man he was. A dead body was lying right beside them, and yet he was thinking about this. Yes, Arya, Rudraksha said calmly, there is a dead body lying there, but I still want you. And when I want something, I get it. I don't care about time or place. Enough of this nonsense. Now focus on me. He locked her hands in his and began kissing her lips again. Arya felt confused and overwhelmed. Seeing the dead body had shaken her mind so badly that she could hardly think clearly. Whatever Rudraksha did, Arya allowed it to happen. She didn't want to anger him further. Rudraksha lifted her in his arms. Arya wrapped her legs around his waist for support. He carried her to the bed, laid her down, and leaned over her. He kissed her passionately. His lips moved from her neck to her collarbone and then lower. He kept biting lightly as well, making Arya sob softly. She clutched the bedsheet tightly in her fists, while tears streamed from her closed eyes and soaked into the mattress. Rudraksha's hands moved all over her body. Within moments, both of their clothes had fallen to the floor. Rudraksha continued passionately, while Arya's cries filled the room. Before long, Arya's body was completely exhausted, but Rudraksha finally seemed satisfied. He lay down beside her. "Sweetheart, your body is very precious to me," he said softly. But Arya couldn't even hear his words. When Rudraksha looked at her, she had already fallen into a deep sleep. Sweat covered her forehead, and tears still glistened in her eyes, making her look even more fragile. Without realizing it, Rudraksha's hand moved to wipe the tears from her face, but suddenly he stopped himself. "What am I doing?" he muttered. "I shouldn't wipe her tears. I should make her cry even more. Whether those tears come from happiness or fear doesn't matter. I should only care about my own desires." He pulled his hand back. Then he buried his face in her hair and soon fell asleep beside her. The next morning, Arya woke up at home. Her entire body ached terribly. She lay there staring blankly at the ceiling while memories of everything that had happened the previous night slowly returned to her mind. Just then, Rudraksha walked into the room. "Good morning, sweetheart." Arya quickly sat up in shock. The blanket slipped from her body, and she noticed that she was fully dressed. How did I get here?" she asked. "And who dressed me?" Rudraksha smirked. "Who else can touch you except me, sweetheart?" Arya's face turned pale. "I killed him. He tried to misbehave with me, and I killed him. I'm a murderer now. I have to surrender. If not today, then tomorrow the police will find me." Rudraksha looked at her calmly. "You're so innocent, sweetheart," he said. "Don't worry. Nothing will happen to you. And anyway, you didn't do anything wrong. You were saving your life. Sometimes saving your own life means someone else's loses theirs, Arya. But you destroy people's lives just for your own pleasure." "I didn't do anything wrong," Arya said angrily. "All of this happened because of you. You sent me to William, and after some time, you also came there." Rudraksha replied calmly. "You pushed me away from you, so I gave you a small punishment. Anyway, I would have saved you. I cannot tolerate anyone else touching what belongs to me." He paused for a moment before continuing, "But you surprised me. You actually killed him. I never thought that by being with me, you would also become this cruel." Arya looked at him silently while Rudraksh continued speaking. "You could have tortured him more. First, you could have gouged out his eyes, then broken his fingers, then his legs, and slowly pushed the glass into his throat. But you finished it in a single move." He shrugged. "Anyway, forget it. The guards who touched you were mine as well. I have already dealt with them." Arya was horrified by his words. She lowered her head and began crying. "Stop crying," Rudraksh said oddly. "Go get ready and come outside, or do you want me to bathe you myself?" Arya quickly got up and went to the bathroom. Sitting in the bathtub, she covered her mouth and cried quietly because she wasn't even allowed to cry openly. After some time, she got ready and came out. A servant told her that Rudraksha had called her to the poolside. When she reached there, Rudraksh smiled. "Come, sweetheart, I have a surprise for you." He covered Arya's eyes with his hands and slowly led her toward the edge of the pool. Then he leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Surprise." When he removed his hands, Arya's eyes widened in terror and she screamed loudly. Rudraksh only smiled. What Arya saw was horrifying. The guards who had touched her at the party were now lying in the swimming pool as food for crocodiles. Their bodies had been brutally torn apart. Severed hands floated on the surface of the water. Seeing their half-eaten bodies made Arya's heart nearly stop. The entire pool had turned red with blood. Terrified, Arya buried her face in Rudraksh's chest and started crying loudly. Rudraksh gently turned her face toward the pool. "Look carefully at this beautiful sight, sweetheart," he said calmly. "Doesn't it feel satisfying when people who wrong you suffer like this? How dare they touch you? If that bastard William were still alive, I would have killed him like this too." Arya was already in terrible condition because of William's death, and seeing this cruelty made her even more frightened. She realized there was no limit to Rudraksha's ruthlessness. Then he did something that terrified her even more. Every time he did something cruel, she would argue or fight with him, but after seeing what she saw today, she felt she might remain scared of him forever. Arya fainted in Rudraksha's arms. Rudraksh smiled slightly. "You fainted, Arya? Good. My fear is finally inside you. Now you will never even imagine going against me." He carried Arya to the bedroom and laid her on the bed, sprinkling water on her face until she slowly regained consciousness. When Arya opened her eyes and saw him reaching toward her, she immediately shrank away in fear. "What happened, sweetheart? Are you scared?" Rudraksh asked. Arya looked at him with trembling eyes. "Sweetheart," he continued, "I have decided to fulfill one of your wishes today." Arya's voice shook. "What do you mean?" Rudraksh smiled coldly. "You always say that you would rather die than stay with me, so I thought I should free you from this painful life." He glanced toward the pool outside. "Those crocodiles are still hungry. Come on, sweetheart." Arya started trembling violently. Her face turned pale. Until now, she had often wished Rudraksh would kill her, but after seeing what he did to the guards, she was even afraid to die by his hands. Rudraksh was about to lift her when his phone suddenly rang. He ignored it at first, but when it rang again, Arya gathered courage and said softly, "Maybe it's something important." Rudraksh looked at the phone. It was a call from his grandmother. He answered it. As he listened, his expression changed. "We're coming," he said, before ending the call. Then he turned to Arya. "Get ready quickly, we're going back to India." For the first time, Arya silently thanked her grandmother from the bottom of her heart. Because of that call, she had been saved. After some time, they both left for India. By the time they reached home, it was already midnight. Rudraksh went to check on his grandmother, but she was asleep, so he returned to his room. Both of them were exhausted from traveling and soon fell asleep. No one in the house knew they had arrived. The next morning, when Arya entered the hall, she heard some noise from the kitchen. Curious, she walked toward it. When she looked inside, she saw Rajeshwari there.
Rajeshwari was delighted to see her. Arya bent down and touched her feet. Rajeshwari hugged her warmly. "My child, tell me, how was your honeymoon?" Just then, Trisha walked in from behind and said teasingly, "Mom, before you ask anything else, look at sister-in-law's neck. The marks from their honeymoon are clearly visible." Arya immediately lowered her head. She knew those marks weren't from love, they were from force. A little while later, Rudraksh, his father, and grandmother also came downstairs. Grandmother looked weak and was walking slowly with the servant's support. Arya went near her and touched her feet. "How are you feeling now?" Grandmother looked at her carefully. "I'm fine now that I've seen you. But tell me, how was your honeymoon?" Arya came out of the kitchen with Trisha and stood there quietly. The moment Rajeshwari's eyes fell on her, her expression stiffened. Arya immediately understood that something was wrong today. Still, she nervously walked toward her. Rajeshwari bent down and touched Yashwardhan's feet. He didn't say much, but Yashwardhan blessed her warmly. Pratiksha then said, "Come everyone, let's have breakfast." Everyone gathered at the dining table and started eating. After breakfast, Grandma said she needed some rest. "Arya, please help me to my room," she said. Arya quietly supported her and walked her to the room. She helped her lie down on the bed. Grandma then told her to close the door. Arya closed the door and walked back toward her. Suddenly, Rajeshwari slapped her hard across the face. Arya stared at her in shock, holding her cheek. Before she could react, Rajeshwari grabbed her hair roughly and said angrily, "How dare you get close to my grandson Rudraksh? I told you to stay away from him. I know girls like you very well. You must want to become the mother of my grandson's child so you can secure your place in this house. But that will never happen while I am alive." Arya replied helplessly, "I don't go near your grandson. He is the one who forces himself on me." Rajeshwari scolded her harshly. "Don't lie. I know my grandson very well. He would never do such a thing. I forced him into this marriage. Otherwise, he never wanted to marry anyone. He's never even had an affair with any girl before. You must be the one seducing him." She handed Arya some tablets and said, "Take these medicines." Arya quietly swallowed them. Rajeshwari continued coldly, "Now that you are my grandson's wife, you should fulfill your duties as a daughter-in-law. My legs are hurting. Massage them." Arya silently began pressing her feet. Rajeshwari said with pride, "Remember your position. You belong at my feet. Don't ever forget that." Arya felt deeply hurt. After a moment she asked sadly, "If you had so many problems with me, then why did you get me married to your grandson? Why not someone else?" Rajeshwari replied, "It was my compulsion. Otherwise, I would never have married my grandson to a poor girl like you. My granddaughter-in-law should have been someone of our status." As Arya continued pressing her feet, memories of her life began filling her mind. Her mother had died when she was very young. To raise her, her father married again. In the beginning, her stepmother treated her lovingly in front of her father. But once he wasn't around, she showed her true colors. She beat Arya, tortured her, and treated her cruelly. Then one day, her father also passed away due to illness. After that, Arya became completely alone. Her stepmother left no chance to make her life miserable. Finally, Arya started working at a club to earn money, while her stepmother lived comfortably using her earnings. Finally, her stepmother sold her to Rajeshwari. Rajeshwari never liked her, and Rudraksh, well, Arya had never imagined that she would end up with someone like him as her husband. But now she was forced to live in that house with him for an entire year. She couldn't run away, and she couldn't even die. After seeing the way Rudraksh had killed those guards, she had even become afraid of death. Thinking about all this filled her eyes with tears. They rolled down her face and fell near Rajeshwari's feet. Rajeshwari noticed this, and a cruel smile appeared on her face. It wouldn't be wrong to say that Rudraksh had inherited his coldness from his grandmother. She also didn't care about anyone's emotions. After some time, Rudraksh came there looking for Arya. "What are you doing here?" he asked. Rajeshwari immediately changed her tone and said sweetly, "My legs were hurting. Arya insisted on massaging them. I told her not to, but she didn't listen." Rudraksh nodded slightly. "All right, Grandma, you should rest now." Then he looked at Arya. "Come with me. I need to talk to you." He took Arya with him to their room. Rajeshwari was surprised by the change in his behavior. Inside the room, Rudraksh looked at Arya and said, "You're doing a good job fulfilling your duties as a daughter-in-law, but what about keeping your husband happy? That's important too, sweetheart." Arya looked at him nervously. "Kiss me, sweetheart, otherwise I will kiss you myself." With trembling hands, Arya slowly moved closer. Their eyes met. Rudraksh stared deeply into her eyes. Neither of them moved for a moment, then their lips touched. Arya couldn't understand why, but the intensity in his eyes made her heart race. She closed her eyes and tried to step back. Rudraksh held her waist and pulled her closer, kissing her again. But this time, the kiss wasn't harsh. He kissed her slowly and gently. While kissing her, his eyes remained open as he watched her face closely. After some moments, he stepped back and walked into the bathroom. Arya stood there in surprise. It was the first time Rudraksh had kissed her so gently. After some time, he came out. By then, Arya had curled up on the sofa and fallen asleep. Rudraksh quietly lifted her in his arms and placed her on the bed. For some reason, he suddenly thought that she wouldn't be comfortable sleeping on the sofa. It was the first time he had thought about Arya's comfort. Perhaps his feelings toward her were beginning to change, or maybe it was something else. The next morning, everything continued as usual. Arya helped Pratiksha prepare breakfast, while Rudraksh left for the office. Trisha spent some time with Arya before leaving for college. Later, Pratiksha also went out to meet her friends. Arya was left alone in the house. Sitting in her room, she took out some black paper and started sketching. She loved art very much, and Trisha liked her drawings too, so she had brought many art supplies for Arya. Meanwhile, Trisha was heading toward her class. At that moment, the door of an empty room slowly opened. Suddenly, someone grabbed Trisha's hand and pulled her inside, and the next moment the door closed behind them. The man pushed Trisha gently against the door and leaned close, starting to kiss her cheeks. Startled, Trisha bit his lip hard and pushed him away. But when she saw his face, her anger flared up. "Why are you here? You scared me, and now look at what you did." Blood had started to appear where she had bitten him. Wiping it with his thumb, he smiled and said, "Not bad, baby. I actually liked this wild side of yours. Thanks for the beautiful mark, but now it's my turn." He leaned closer to her lips. Trisha quickly closed her eyes and made a cute face. "Please don't bite me." He kissed her warm cheeks and said softly, "Whenever I think about doing something wild with you, your cute face makes me go soft." Trisha hugged him tightly. "You can't do it, but I can."
She pressed her lips against his and started kissing him. He held her waist and pulled her closer. Both of them kissed each other passionately, completely forgetting that they were inside the storeroom. After some time, they finally pulled apart, breathing heavily, and sat down. Suddenly remembering something, Trisha threw her bag at him. "Ouch! Have you gone mad? Why did you hit me?" Trisha said angrily. "After so many days, you finally remembered that you even have a girlfriend. I called you so many times, but you never answered. I thought you were angry with me, but you just ignored me. I don't want to talk to you anymore." She stood up to leave, but Viom grabbed her hand, pulled her onto his lap, and gently tugged her cheek. "You look even more adorable when you're angry, baby. And yes, you did call me, but I didn't get time to meet you." "I'm not interested in your excuses," Trisha snapped. Viom sighed and said, "When brother-in-law Rudraksha went on his honeymoon, the entire workload at the office fell on me. That's why I couldn't make time for you." Before he could say anything else, Trisha slapped him on the cheek. Viom looked shocked. "What was that for?" "How dare you insult my brother?" Trisha said angrily. "If my brother finds out, he'll cut your tongue." Viom rubbed his cheek dramatically. "What bad luck I have. My brother teases me at the office, and now his sister beats me." Trisha rolled her eyes. "He's my brother-in-law. Of course I'll defend him." Viom laughed. "Relax. I didn't mean it seriously. My boss is powerful enough already. I'm not in a hurry to die. Trisha gently touched his cheek. Did it hurt? Viom nodded. Wait, I'll put medicine on it. But instead of medicine, she lightly kissed his cheek. Viom smiled and said, If the treatment is like this, I'm ready to get beaten every day. Trisha burst out laughing. Trisha and Viom had been secretly dating for 3 years. They kept it hidden because Grandma didn't approve of love marriages. She wanted Trisha to marry a wealthy man so the family business would stay strong. All right, I should go now. I'm already missing my class, Trisha said. Okay, I'll wait for you in the parking lot. Viom kissed her cheek. She ran out of the room. After her classes, Viom took Trisha to watch a movie and they both enjoyed themselves a lot. Meanwhile, Arya was busy in her room painting. She became so absorbed in her work that she lost track of time. One after another, she completed several paintings. Finally, placing the last one aside, Arya sighed. Finally, it's done. Just then, Rudraksha's voice came from behind her. Wow, sweetheart, you've made such a beautiful painting. I didn't know you were this talented. But why are you painting these useless things? Your own husband is so handsome, you should paint me. Arya became nervous. It's already very late. I've been painting for a long time, so my hands are hurting. Maybe I can paint you some other time. Rudraksha came close from behind and held her hand. My wife's hands are hurting? Let me help with that. He suddenly squeezed her hand tightly. Arya cried out in pain. Has the pain gone now, sweetheart, or should I help more? He asked coldly. Arya was in even more pain now, but she quickly said, I'll paint you. Rudraksha sat on the sofa like a king, staring at her intently. Arya picked up her brush with trembling hands and began painting his portrait. Fear made her hands shake, but she didn't dare complain. Nearly 2 hours passed. When the painting was finally complete, Arya felt as if her arm might break from exhaustion. She looked at Rudraksha, who had been sitting in the same position the entire time without showing any discomfort. She slowly placed the brush down and presented the painting to him. Rudraksha examined it carefully. Perfect, sweetheart. I like it. He smiled. And since I'm happy, you'll get a reward. Arya immediately said, I don't want any gift. But I will give you one, Rudraksha replied. From today onward, your hands are my canvas. If you want to keep these beautiful hands safe, then remember one thing. You will only paint me. No one else, not even any object. Hearing this, Arya looked at him in surprise. She has already told Arya everything about her. He had taken something away, and now he wanted it. Arya should also give up her hobby. His obsession only increased with time. Arya said nothing. She just kept quiet. She lowers her eyelids. Rudraksha rests on her head, looks at the paintings and the paints kept there, picks up and starts throwing them at the paintings, due to which all the paintings get spoiled. Meanwhile, tears fell from Arya's eyes and fell on the ground. Painting. It was her world. In her free time, she tries to forget her pain. She would paint for her. Her dream was very good. She wanted to become a great artist, which now she may never be completed. Rudraksha wipes her tears and says, Why are you crying, sweetheart? Did you not like my gift? He starts pressing Arya's jaw. Arya sobs in pain and says, Thank you, Rudraksha. Then why are there tears in your eyes? Tell me. Arya wipes her tears and says, I am not crying.
That's like my good girl. You've made a painting. But now it's my turn. I have to paint too. Arya kept a paintbrush nearby. She picks it up and gives it to him. Rudraksha puts the brush on the table and says to me, Not on canvas, but on your beautiful... I want to paint on my body, sweetheart. Arya's face frowned upon hearing this. Rudraksha is tied around his neck. He holds her hand and pulls her closer to him, and dipping his fingers in the color kept nearby, gently moves the neck, due to which Arya held her dress in her fist. She takes it and closes her eyes. Rudraksha is on the other side of his neck. He places his lips on Arya's. She presses it with her teeth.
Her fingers are stained with the colors of Rudraksh and starts moving from the neck to the stomach. Arya is not hurt by his touch today. He couldn't resist her touch. She softly calls out Rudra's name. So Rudraksh puts his fingers on her stomach, but he stops it and says, "Say my name." Sweetheart Arya biting her lips. How is she so at the touch of this man? Could she react? Did she go crazy? But touching the Rudraksh like this at this time, he was liking it. His mind was beyond his control. Rudraksh moans my name, sweetheart. That Arya, he picks her up and places her on the table. While applying color on her feet, he kissed her lips. He presses his lips together. Arya's hands go on his terms. She holds him tightly. Rudraksh was also completely lost in it at this time, had already been paid. He kisses her lips very sweetly. I don't know how long they will be together. They remain immersed in each other. Then a door opens. He knocks and they come to their senses. Rudraksh looked at the closed gate of the room with cold eyes. He looks at her. He's feeling very angry right now. He was getting Arya down from the table. Arya starts adjusting her clothes. As soon as Rudraksh opens the door, a girl comes and clings to him. Seeing this, Arya is shocked. Meanwhile, Rudraksh's eyes turn red with anger, pushes the girl back, and she falls down on the ground. Seeing this, Arya puts her hand over her mouth.